freeze up as long as you can hear me. If anything happens, I'll go out and come back in.
Okay.
Because I have had a couple of problems. All right. So we're live. Let me go in and check. I'll roll the show out formally in just a second. Let me make sure everything's okay. It's Todd Medina, SoulogyOneStudios. This is our flagship show called SOULSPEAKS 5D. These shows resonate with you. Please share. Thank you for all your love and support and contribution. And I'm thanking myself for surrendering to the divine feminine. On July 27th, on the blood moon eclipse. All right, hang on one second. Hello, Pamela Johnson. Emily Hawkins.
Pamela.
Yeah, she's incredible. That's a divine goddess full of sacred wisdom, just like you, Michelle. All right, here we go. We got 15 people in the house. Test. All right, we're good. Angela Brinkerhoff's in the house. Kenton Turner. All right. Law Stewart. Amy Campbell. Levine. Michelle, what's going on? Thank you for your continued love and support. All right. So let me formally roll the show out. This is Soul Speaks 5D. It's a conversation with Michelle Walling. My dear sister, divine feminine, a way shower's been doing this for a long, long time. And, you know, there's a lot of people coming out now that have been doing it for a long, long time that were kind of in the background. But there's some people out there that have been out there since the beginning, back when everybody said we were crazy. Well, they were the first ones to be called crazy. So I just want to welcome you, sister, into the show. Thank you for integrating with my heart before the show. And that shows the true power of the divine feminine, the unconditional love, the strength from the vulnerability, and the ability to create from its own frequency the same pure frequency of love. So thank you for coming on. Thank you for honoring us with your presence and sharing space with us today. Welcome to the show.
It's good to be back, Todd. Thanks for having me. And I'm just so proud of you, watching you blossom and grow over the, would you say 500 shows so far that you've done?
Yeah, I think this is 548.
I'm just flabbergasted. I mean, I do spend most of my waking hours dedicated to my spiritual ascension and practice. But as a female, I'm just going to have to say, sometimes we tend to take people's shit and transmute it, for the world, even when I said I was not going to do that anymore, like a year ago, 2 years ago. And I think some of us really have made that connection with Earth to be able to do that. And there's just some days that I would say, in the last 2 years that I just couldn't have possibly done the amount of work that you have done. So, and my hat is off to you. I am thrilled to see what you've done. And so many of my friends that I've interviewed in the past have been on your show. And I just love to see the family growing. It's awesome.
Yeah, it really is. And thank you very much. And you're welcome. And thank you. Thank you. Yeah, that's a really powerful thing, watching the divine feminine, spread wings a couple, 2-3 years ago when it really was going down. And then, over the last few months, the divine masculine energy. And again, at the end of the day, we're talking about energy. And you made a profound statement before the show that you might want to get into something, and that's your choice. And I think I could probably give some pretty good perspective from an alpha male, warrior archetype that was brought to his knees and found that divine feminine energy in myself, so I think this is going to be a good discussion. We're in the heart space. You want to start this thing?
I do. We'll talk about that. So there's a tendency to honor the divine feminine within females. And while I do carry a tremendous amount of divine feminine energy, and try to exude that with my personality, with my nurturing voice, with my physicality. I also, when I was 7 years old, my parents divorced, and I went to live with my father. And my father was a very, well, let's just say I get a lot of my personality or my past personality. my ability to communicate and speak my mind and take risks and be out here in front of people from my father. And so I think that because I didn't have the divine feminine in my life from 7 years old on, except for visitations and weekends, I think I became more strong in my divine masculine. And not only that, but I feel like many other lifetimes, the lifetimes that I had on Earth in particular, because most of the other lifetimes off planet may not have been gender, but I think I was a male in most of my past lifetimes, including when I was a part of the founding whole members of the Knights Templar and the Essenes. And I think when, for me to go into that time period, I had to be a male. There was one lifetime where I was the den mother of the Templars. I was like, I'm tired of this fighting shit. Can't I please the nurturing, and I just stayed and cooked and cleaned and waited for them to come back from battle and, nurse their wounds and things like that. All of this, by the way, I'm going to segue really quick because it's the way it works. All that, by the way, was in preparation for an ascension timeline that we have not done. We had to change the plan. That was the natural ascension from 3D to 5D by simply building a bridge. And it just wasn't possible with the amount of electromagnetic frequency and all of the brilliant plan of poisoning our food, air, water supply, and all of the programming that we have. So we went to a plan F.
I thought it was plan. I thought it could be
plan B by now. We were on plan B. Get ready.
We're
so
on
so coming
I know
full
what the
circle,
second letter is.
I know, X1. So coming full circle, I think that after about 2 years of my awakening, 2010, maybe 3, I think I began to really balance out my male and feminine within me. But that's the goal, of course, but that is supposed to open up this like lotus representation in your heart field, and that opens up different stargates and unlocks your physical stargate. And then it goes to our sun stargate, and it goes to the Alcyone stargate, the Sirius stargate, and then the Great Central Sun stargate, all the way back to source. And there were so many layers of emotional healing that needed to be done to get all of those things open. And of course, the last one's going to be for us to be embodied. I believe it's probably going to be something like the universal level, to where we literally can connect with the rest of the universe and go into a new creation. So I would say I've known a lot of males that had more divine feminine stepping forward than the masculine. And I've seen a lot of males come into the forefront, speaking their truth now in their minds. And I'm so happy to see the integration. I think we're almost there when we see, hopefully, half male, half female, out there on YouTube, speaking their mind, helping people through this, if we have time, because I think we're getting so close. So that's what I say about the divine masculine.
Yeah. Something that you said really jumped out at me. You said when we got to that pinnacle of the universal, that we would create a new dimension, new reality, whatever, as opposed to us leaving here, Scotty, beam me up, physically, transition or whatever. It's not like that. You're right. That's a profound thing. We're actually creating the next dimension, basically, or I don't know if that's the right word.
I would say universe.
Universe, yeah.
I would say that, because we don't really know what a universe is, but I would say that, it's another word for a reality that has new layers of dimensions, that's not controlled by the archons and doesn't have the polarity and duality and doesn't have the virus, basically the egoic sickness. So I only know this only because with my QHHT session with Alba Weinman, I blurted out of my mouth that we're not only creating a new earth, but we're creating a new universe. And what that really means is we're tied to all of our multidimensional selves. And we have different, you froze up on me, but I think I'm still here. Okay.
No, you're good. You're good.
We have our multidimensional selves that we're literally integrating here in the physical. And this body, the reason why this body is so valued and so sought after for its DNA is its ability to carry us as an oversoul here in the physical.
Yeah.
And then, so as we integrate all of our aspects, whether we are knowingly doing it by meeting them and, you know, in our mind's eye, talking to them, or they manifest in our holographic reality, if we're ready for that, or if we even need that. Some of us, we've already done this before other places, so we don't really need the dog and pony show. We know what we're doing just by, you know, how we feel. And so as we integrate those aspects of ourselves, once we become whole, then we are a universe in itself. But we're going to still be connected to everyone in our reality that goes with us while still being single. Not single.
That's a,
you know, being one person in a collective as one. And you know, a lot of people use that terminology of the drop of water in the ocean, but I think that's true. It's kind of like a bubble. We're kind of like a bubble, and we're all connected. But I like the blade of grass scenario because I look outside a lot and I see the grass, and I'm like, I like that better because all the blades of the grass make up the lawn itself. So, I mean, I don't know why. I just like that better.
was a powerful explanation. Very, very, very clear. A lot of clarity. And what I love about it, going back to that other comment that struck me, is you brought up the archons, you know, the nefarious fourth dimensional, all that stuff that set this thing up or whatever. And you see, even on lightworker circles, YouTube and such, oh, they've been removed and da-da-da-da-da. Well, how do I know that's not a psyops? Because the bottom line is, going back to your first profound statement, is that it's not about removing the archons. It's about raising our consciousness beyond it to where it can't F with us in plan F. You know what I mean? That's what we're doing. I think you've definitely done some work, you know, going back to the comment you made prior to the show. And I think with that work comes the higher clarity. But I'm just saying, with that work, if we drill it down, because it is on us, I am soul, you know, with that work, is to a wider awareness and greater clarity, and you are healing the collective as you heal yourself, and that also includes an expanded courage, you know. So big props to that.
Yeah, definitely the biggest work that you can do right now is working on yourself, because we are connected, and because of where we are in the unfolding of everything, because we really need the strong forerunners to be pulling on everyone. You know, in that tug of war, you need the biggest, baddest mofos in the back anchoring it and pulling. And that's what we are as forerunners. That's what we came here to do. And I wanted to touch a little bit on something that you said, if that's okay, as a segue here.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're just going to get right into the exciting news that I have found from a reliable source that prefer just, you know, right now, just to give you what my rendition of it, because I think that there's no secrets and there's no information that's not accessed when you want to find it out yourself. You can go deep within and look at the Akashic records and find it. But there's something that has happened between the time that President Trump was elected and when Brexit happened in Europe, and between, let's just say, maybe 3 or 4 months ago. And that is that there's one being that was running the show as far as the political realm and the banking realm and everything, all of the two families, the Rothschilds and Rockefellers. there's one being that had a human body that was pretty much the top on the pyramid as far as the physical being on Earth goes, and maybe even fourth dimensional. And from what I understand, he walked into a trap that was set for him. And after something like over 1,000 years of being able to keep his body alive, he literally left his body and went to the spirit realm. And so what has happened is that the minions underneath him, nobody knows what's happening, and all they know to do is to continue just doing the same things. There's nothing new being created. It's all, false flag, create a situation and then cause fear. And then it's just the same program running over and over again, like a broken record. And that's when people are able to look, beyond things and see that, well, how come that keeps happening? How come we have all these same shootings and so-called shootings, and some of them they are even putting out and finding out even on mainstream that they weren't as what they thought. So nobody's in charge. Nobody knows what's going on. There was no blood heir to the throne, so to speak, because there was no child. This person was keeping himself alive through means of black magic, sacrificial, and calling on the astral beings, and other means like probably maybe even snorting gold or eating gold, or all those things that you read about when you're first going down that rabbit hole. But with him being gone, it changes all of the plans once again for those of us with a plan from the light to come here and help, because we had lined so many things up to counterbalance what we saw would unfold. But I think, Trump being elected was a huge chink in the armor, so to speak. That was never expected by that group. Yeah. And so that was kind of like our ace in the hole. Not that he's actually, definitely working for the light. He might be, I don't know, but it means that it definitely, with Hillary Clinton not being elected, we did not go to World War III. And going to World War III was a huge node point on the timeline to take us to an emergency type situation for the light beings to go ahead and accelerate the ascension and perhaps even evacuation, which none of that has to happen now.
Yeah. Wow.
Thunder.
Another great
Did you hear that thunder?
Man, we got the thunder booms going. Hey, there are no coincidences, but that's another profound observation straight. And I just want to reiterate that. And I love the subject matter because few people take it to this wide of a spectrum. And I believe you got to follow both. I stay on the YouTube and I just don't go on as much, but try to keep tabs on what's happening. It totally resonates with me. And it would make sense that at an energetic level, be it Trump, be it you, be it me, be it anybody, that that collective consciousness, with a little help from our star family friends and all, is kicking it up a little bit, and it's affecting everybody, and whether they or not, whether they like it or not. The other thing that I got from what you were saying is when it comes down to being dumbed down and hypnotized, I think those closest to that being that you talked about were the most dumbed down and hypnotized. So that's why they just continue to be their hamster in the wheel. We got this thing with people like you.
Oh, yeah.
Spreading this frequency, like you said, spreading this frequency, getting out there and doing it. This is the golden activations come from the 99.9. Each one of us is just as relevant. I really thank you for these explanations. I wanted to ask you.
Could I follow up on that real quick? Well, and also on the other side of it, what we also did is at the councils, so to speak, for the council who's in charge of making sure that the Anunnaki fix what they did. Basically, we asked for the waves to accelerate with fury, and they have. And so we had already started that plan on an incremental basis. and the collective consciousness itself of humanity actually has proven that they were ready for more and more and more and accelerated it.
Yeah.
So that's also this at the same time happening, and I think that we're back on a track after 2012. We really went through I don't know where we went. We went way past Mars or something on some kind of time loop somewhere, but it was supposed to be a gradual thing. And I know that, some channelers like Cryon, had put out a bunch of information, that maybe by the time 2 generations from now, it'll all be said and done. And I don't think that's even true anymore in my reality. I know that. So I just want to give hope that, and people, like us, we can see this, we can feel this, we can see how many people are joining us with a high level of understanding of what's happening. But everything's good to go. And I guess I kind of forgot what else I was going to say. So I'll let you. I'll let you lead me here. I surrender.
I surrender. That's supposed to be my line. But what you were talking about. Dang, I forgot too. I had a question on something that you had said or a comment on something.
Well,
I know what it was.
Yeah,
I know what it was. Okay, so with what you're saying is that in our blueprints, in our consciousness, we are all at this place where we were set up or instructed or on this mission of understanding. We had a certain set of actions that we were taking. With this guy being removed, or maybe before that or whatever, unexpectedly everything shifted. So the light, so to speak, had to readjust, and maybe that has something to do with all these crazy energies flying around. But I agree with you. The fast track seems to be on.
It's exciting to finally watch it unfold. I went from 2012 to 2017 going WTF. What is the definition of soon? And as we talked about on the last show, my huge leap for myself personally was August, September, October of 2017, when I literally opened up one of those extra layers in my heart and started going through a whole I tell you what I did is a time travel, and I pulled in all of these timelines that I had created and that I didn't need. All of these parallel realities that were happening at the same time, I pulled all of those in and cleaned house. And then I went to sleep at night, and I found myself helping others to prepare for their exit, packing their suitcases, putting their suitcases in a row, in a line, getting them all ready and stacking them. I was dreaming about doing this and about, writing on clipboards and things like that. So this was the end of last year. And sure enough, it has really unfolded. And just wanted to talk about one more thing about the past, about what's happened is, there was a time, everybody has their own, good times and bad times, but there was a time in June and July where I literally went offline. Now, I mean, literally offline. I didn't have one creative bone in my body. I didn't have any thoughts coming in. I didn't have any, recurring ideas, or I literally just zoned out. And, like the things I like to do were sleep, watch like HGTV, go to the beach, go for a walk, and read and study. But you couldn't have gotten me to be able to speak a word on video, because I just couldn't formulate anything. I was literally just being reset. And I think what happens when you get ready to open up that next level of whichever next Stargate that is within you, because you really need to leave behind everything you think you know and everything that you've learned, even with your spiritual practices and tools. So
exactly.
And when I emerged from that, it was so weird, because I didn't plan on saying, oh, this Lionsgate is going to be a huge thing for me. But on August 8th in the morning when I woke up, I came out of it, snapped out of it, and immediately lined up with my highest and best timeline. And I was me again. I was like, I was back. You know, it was so incredible.
Game on. But you know, and I wonder with the what we were talking about earlier, what you were telling us about, if that reset was aligned with what we were talking about in terms of light having to readjust the strategy or whatever because of the unexpected turn, you know, or the top of the dark coming down. Like, that
Yeah,
would
yeah,
make
maybe.
sense.
Yeah, I mean, if so, why even just, you know, just if you can't figure out what the hell you're supposed to do, why not just do nothing at all for a while, you know, except for make sure that you're not creating any extra timelines because every
Yeah,
time you say something, make a decision, make intention, you're literally creating it, you know, timelines. And I found myself at night having to
that's
go
right.
clean up after myself, you know, because of, you know, just talking like everyday stuff, you create things that you're not really aware of. And we're not perfect yet. I mean, we're not every day even watching every little thing that we say because we're trying to be human as well. We're trying to be ourselves at the same time. So, but when you're not talking to anybody and you're not doing anything at all and you're not even getting out and go to the store, well, you're definitely not creating anything. And so
Yeah,
if just wanted to mention that, not I was fine. I was perfectly fine with it. But I just want to mention that in case that starts coming up for people, especially in now that we're in the energies of August and September and October, which are just going to be a triple whammy. We think we've seen it now. Oh my God. You know, for certain, like I tend to see things tend to happen to me a little bit before. So I say everything that's happened to me because it may start happening for people. And
yeah,
one of the things that I had to make sure I didn't fall into was guilt. I did have a little guilt, like, oh my gosh, you know, I really should write some articles or I really should do a video, but I don't feel like it. And so I
right,
didn't.
right.
Really shouldn't be going to sleep at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, but I am. So, and so I think one thing we have to keep in mind is that I don't think that there is a fixed timeline anymore. I think every person has created their own malleable version of the storyline and they have players playing out around them. And if you've played with your players before, you can see how malleable they are and how that you can have them work with you rather than against you. And you don't have a lot of those archonic attacks. I haven't had an archonic attack since March. And that was a big bad one, and it was gone and done. And I think it was another one of those situations where a trap was set. We don't know what we're doing, but we had agreed to it. We draw it in, it happens, and you go, what was that? You recover, it takes a long time to recover, and then you move on. But, you know, as long as you don't have any fear, you're not going to draw any of that to you unless you've contracted for it or unless you really need it. So I think those are the things that we're seeing now that are really exciting and give us proof individually that things are really finally happening.
Yeah, and I love what you say about that universal isolation. You're taking the linear out. You're taking it out, and what I love about it is it's the way you describe it. Like, another way to say it would be, we're at a frequency or vibration or a level that it's no longer, hey, I said that, I got to take it back. Hey, I thought that, I got to take it back. You put it out there, it's out there. You know, you might have to go do some work to take it back, but it's not as simple as just repeating after, oh, I take it back. No, we're at a level now where we really got to be accountable to ourselves and to this collective and to this mission, service to the collective, service to the universal. Yeah.
What I
Yeah.
also found on that, just, I mean, we could talk for hours. What I also found with that, though, is sometimes now you can say something that maybe you didn't really mean to say, but it's not going to affect your reality like it did before because the layer of the false programming that immediately snaps back and mirrors everything back to you you know, it doesn't seem to be there because you seem to be in your own little protective bubble where you can mess up every now and then and it not really affect you.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I wonder if the intention of the heart has a greater power now with some of this programming removed. I wonder if that's another way to say it. But yeah,
It's
I
a
get
very
what
profound statement. You are so brilliant. I do think so. I think you're right.
Yeah, this is colossal. I'm loving this because everything this was done as Soulogy style, with spontaneously, and this is where our power is. Our power, like you said about wanting to talk to people who haven't been out there. That's where the gold is. We're the gold. We are that. We actually can do this from one soul, so to speak. But with the program we went through, it's going to take a lot. Now, Rick Jewer said the other night that his intel was that 3 million of the 8 billion are woke, and think of that. I mean, this is the Tesla sacred geometry. This is not 1 + 1 = 2. This is 1 + 1 = 3, 6, 9, 12, and then boom. So yeah.
Well,
Where do we
that's
go from
interesting.
here?
Well, it's interesting because I also witness other people on other levels saying that in their reality, there's only like 1 million real souls left. So what we're seeing is we're already seeing that splitting of the earths, but because we were so simple-minded, perhaps we had to say, there was a bifurcation of the earths or maybe a trifurcation of the earths. But because, you didn't want to scare anybody and say that we were going to be splitting up to several different groups of frequencies. But I do believe that that's really more like it. And I think that some people find themselves with only feeling a connection to, 1 million people that are actually spirited soul beings in their matrix, and everyone else is AI. And I do want to talk about that if I can for a second. AI meaning organic matrix. As an organic matrix is created, it's used an artificial intelligence kind of software program with ones and zeros and geometric patterns and sounds and vibrations, to make this hologram. It's an absolute genius invention. It's just that it's supposed to interact with you back and forth, but it's just that, of course, it was hijacked. And so, well, I totally lost my train of thought, but
we're talking about the AI.
Oh yeah, well, yes. So what would happen to us, like for example, in my instance, if I'm going through those profound leaps and bounds, and I'm almost to my second to last or last Stargate to literally make that cosmic connection, activate all my DNA, would that slow me down if my mom were to die, like tomorrow? It would be like a devastating thing. I would have to stop everything and focus back on that. So why not, since I'm creating my reality, create a situation where there's a copy of her, even if she's still there. But let's just say hypothetically, there's a couple of things that I figured out. I mean, I've really thought about, like, well, if they're AI and they're just a copy and they're interacting with me, could they be remote controlled? Like they've already ascended or they're already on the new earth. And because they were in my life and got my vibration, I helped them. And now I'm just creating my own little copy in my own little bubble, in my own little world of them sometimes. And sometimes I'm interacting with the collective. Sometimes I'm back in my own little bubble. Or B, they're just background people, not my mom, but they're just background people that if you don't interact with them, they're not even real. I mean, they don't even come to life. So there's like so many different things. Some people don't really want to know the details. Some people like me, I want to know, I want to know this stuff. And I have seen these people glitch out. Their programming just gets wonky. And I'm talking about people who don't really have consciousness, a spirit consciousness, a soul, running the show. And they're just here to make us comfortable and run the rest of the program out. And so I say this not out of, oh my God, fear, Now, don't get into your head and start trying to figure out who in your life is real and who's not, because that's not the point. The point is that we are so far along that we don't really know how far we are along of helping people out. And it's like a whole secret that's unfolded. It isn't like what we thought it would be like. It's
exactly.
Some people are already gone. And then, so why are we still here? It's not because we aren't good enough to go. It's that somebody's got to hold all the shit together and hold all the glue and let everything play out for just those very last people to try to get an opportunity to wake up, is maximize the number of awakening beings, keeping the vibrations continuing to raise. And then all of a sudden, when we pull out, then the whole matrix itself will
crumbles.
And we will, in groups, there will be groups going first. And so it's just a brilliant plan, I think, that we ended up, the final plan ended up being.
Yeah, and I think a big part of it is remaining open to anything and everything. And like you said, it's nothing like we thought. I mean, if you think about the quote unquote technology of self-serving energy, we might just call reptilians, Anunnaki, whatever, the alternative DNA and such, and the things you brought up at the beginning of the show. If you think about the level of consciousness, especially with the consciousness it was playing God with, think about the technology of the universal at this point in the game and all the bullshit it had to go through, and think about that. So what we see, and what I love about what you say, is because what we're seeing as a threat or as a hindrance or as a distraction really are gifts, but in a different way than we might have heard in light worker circles, new age circles, whatever you want to call it, in that, white and fluffy stuff. This is just looking something in the eye that at any level, does it have power over you? And I think that's where we're finding we don't know what the hell's going on here. We don't even know how powerful we are. It's happening though. We feel it.
Well, let's take it to a creator level. Even let's just go to, the creator of this universe level. We know that the polarity and duality experiment was created for two reasons, mostly. And one is the soul growth expansion of the quickest way to become expanded in your experience and take a shortcut, so to speak, like going to summer school for 4 years and getting a master's degree. And then the second thing was, in order to create new universes and expand, you have to have energy, and you have to have compaction and a bunch of energy, and then you turn it all inside out, and then you just voila, form something new. So even though the experiment itself did end up having a hitch where the rules were broken, and so it wasn't self-serving, it wasn't self-running. Instead, it was going to be imploding upon itself from the consumption of itself, with everything eating everything else for energy. Even though that happened, of course, source is perfection, and the universal, the universal source has the source on top of it that can always, dive in and help. The amount of energy that was taken from us, from the beings who got stuck in this creation, it didn't go anywhere. It's still there. And so when it's released, it's going to play a role in the creation of this new universe.
Yeah, right on to that. And that's what's exciting, because, some people put it as, we came into this game with the Akashic, and now we're the living library. We're the Akashic being created in motion. That's what I loved about what you said earlier about it's not so much removing stuff. It's or going back. We're making this happen. We're creating, in the truest sense, past and future at the same time, and it's never been done before. And that's the big payoff to me. That's the big soulgasm, is the universe has never been here before, and we are the universe. We're making it happen. So it's up to us. It's like, okay, we got this. What do you want to do?
Yeah, so that's why it's so important to really show the universe and show yourself what a responsible creator that you are. and with your words, actions, and thoughts and deeds. And if you can't do that right now, just don't do anything.
Yeah.
Just chill, man. Just take a chill pill and just hang out and sit in nature and really gather. Ask for your higher self guidance. Ask for sources guidance. Ask for Mother Earth's guidance and help, and then just allow. You've got it totally on when you say surrendering, and it's the ego that causes us to block that out, because it was created to protect us and to keep us from remembering that we're in a game, or that we're in a reality that is kind of like a game where we can have this experience. And so when the game comes to an end and a new game is going to start, you have to put that in the back seat. And every now and then mine still comes out. I still get a little angry. That is a human trait that I think we're going to continue to have, but we would never lash out the way that we've done before. Maybe we just get angry and we just shut up and we just glare. Maybe we just don't. It's but we're not, spewing it out at somebody.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, what's the difference between that, Archon energy, anything out there? It's still there. It's just, it's there.
Until we're not, right?
That's right. That's right. Yeah, that's good. This is good stuff. Really is. Anybody has any questions for the Divine Goddess?
Oh yeah, questions would be awesome. I can't see any. You'll have to.
If you look on the screen, I don't know if it's the left side or the right side near the top. There's something that says, click here if you want to see the text or see the comments. Can you see that?
Oh, heck
you got it? All right, let's get some.
It came up, but I don't see anything in it. But that's
it'll catch up. It should catch up.
You're the host. I don't have to keep up with things like that.
You're right about that. You're right.
I just want to say, while you're taking a look at that, Todd, I think if people really want to invest in their own, path right now, if you really want to know the details, I highly suggest seeing the interview that you did with Lisa Brown. It's almost 4 hours long. I've actually tried to take notes. I went back, listened to it the first time. I've tried to go back and take notes. There's so much information in that one interview. She could write, or somebody could write 3 books. Yeah. She literally went back to the beginning of when she started, her work and her awakening 20 years ago, and then went back and went through each level of opening up. That's where I actually learned about where I was, about the levels of opening up the different stargates from her. That, and it's good to have a reference to see where you're at and all the different ascension symptoms. She's just got some amazing information to share. I highly suggest people listening to that interview. And where could they find that? I know one place they can find it is on her YouTube channel. You don't have a YouTube channel that you upload everything to?
Yeah, I have a YouTube. We had 2 SoulogyOneStudios.
Oh, good.
And so but she has them too. I give everyone, and I'll give you tonight, get everyone an MP4, because the whole idea is to get this stuff out there, But anyway, and the other one was good too. But this last one was real time intel. Yeah. And what I love too about what she said, because it spoke to our multidimensionality, was that the plasma and the diamond and all these different things that she described, what her body went through and why, can be happening to us at the same time. And really, to me, it's because of people like her. And there's many people like her that are stepping forward now, especially divine feminines, who've been doing this in the solitude of their own homes, quietly.
You can't be around anyone else. You can't, like she was explaining it. And I was feeling really bad. I was feeling, people would come to Florida and they'd be like, hey, I'm coming to Florida, when does your group meet? And I'm like, my group meets every day right here in my living room, You know, so, but not everybody's like that. You know, everybody's got a different job. But there is one group meeting that's coming up, if you don't mind me saying.
Hey, this is your platform. This is for you to say whatever you need to say.
And
Go
thank
ahead.
you.
You're
January,
welcome.
I'm going to be a speaker on the Waves of Light cruise. It's coming out of Tampa. And just real quick, just go to wavesoflight.org to check out the Royal Caribbean cruise I'm going to be speaking on with a lot of wonderful other speakers. It's going to be 5 days of relaxing, chatting, having these conversations in person in little groups, you know. And then also we have scheduled times, you know, I think 3 hours a day of speakers. So that'll be fun.
Wow, man. Well, let me know if you guys need an MC or somebody to do a few songs in between.
I sure will. We'll have to see how many sell. I'm sure the organizers, I'm not organized, I'm just speaking at it. But I imagine the more people that are coming, the more they can block out like a whole theater for all day and have, you know, more things happening. But, you know, just to start out, it's really hard to gauge when you're doing one of these cruises,
Yeah.
cruise like this, because they do cost so much money, is, you know, to see how much you can gamble on booking on the ship, because, you know, you still got to pay for it. So
When is it?
it's in January. I don't have the
Okay.
beginning of January. So
Okay,
wait.
good. Can you give me that link or whoever I
Sure.
need to talk to? Maybe we can collaborate. That's a big energy that's coming in. The competition is starting to leave, and the collaboration is starting to happen. And have you seen this going on?
Yeah, like I said, I mean, there's not really anything in my awareness that is competition. I'm
Yeah.
creating everything in my local reality. And as I step out, the worst thing that's happened to me was, you know, I set off the matrix alarms, and the car in front of me, you know, I was definitely like 2 car lengths behind them. But these crazed women started, you know, flipping me off
What?
outside of they rolled their windows down, and they're like flipping me off like this, because basically trying to show me, you know, you don't get close to me. You're too close. You're too close. And this went on for at least 5 minutes, and they were, you know, doing their fists like this. And, you know, I could see the driver in their little side mirror right there. I could see her face, and it was just the most angry looking demonic face, you know, that it was sitting inside of this woman's body. But, you know, what did I do? For a second, I was like, okay, bring it on, you know?
Bitch.
Yeah. But then I stopped, you know, the heart starts beating fast. I'm like, I'm about to whoop somebody's ass. But
Yeah, that's a
but
Southern
then
girl.
I just went, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening, because there was absolutely, completely no reason for it to happen. I'm like a grandma driver. And so I just started laughing, and there was nowhere to go. The street we were on had me blocked. They were in front of me, and there was nowhere to go, nowhere to turn around, nowhere to get away. So I just laughed. And I didn't like ha ha ha, you know, laugh just like to really make them angry. I just laughed. I just kept smiling and laughed at myself and just kept calm. And eventually we got up to a red light, and I just went ahead and turned, even though I was supposed to go straight. I just turned and then went around and came.
Yeah.
But, you know, there's just, I
Choice
see a lot.
choice point.
Everything at this point is kindergarten shit. I'll put it that way.
Well, that's that great divide. The clarity is getting bigger, and you've done the work, so it's even more acute for you. So, you know, bullshit to bullshit ourselves. And somebody was saying it yesterday. Everybody knows something's going on. I don't care who you are. You're either looking at it and saying, "Is this happening?" or you're looking at the program. You know.
Well, okay, so, and I have to say, I sometimes, since I'm not interacting with a lot of people and doing a lot of that Archon fighting work anymore, I have to say, there are people that are still dealing with this. And it doesn't mean that they're lesser or not as high on a path as me. It just means that I've figured out how to skirt around it, and I've chosen not to have those kind of people in my life that can serve as the Agent Smith, where the Archon can jump in the body, like in the movie The Matrix, and turn him into, a black suit Agent Smith with the sunglasses, to cause me some grief or whatever. And also, the reason that some of these things are still happening, it's just a program running at this point. It's not even real anymore, and it's an illusion. If you're having there's two things that could be happening if you're still having a lot of difficulty. A, it's an illusion and you just haven't realized it, and you just keep falling for it, and so it keeps happening. Or B, you do have some things, some blocks and some emotional energies and things like that you can't see. And so it's literally coming up to keep triggering you until you see that that's inside of you, accept it, acknowledge it, thank it, and then go on and just realize that you're being triggered. And you don't need you say, I don't need the triggers anymore. I am clear of that. And as you know, you think sometimes you have everything that you need to get done, and then all of a sudden it all comes at you again. And it isn't because you aren't ascending. It isn't because you're backsliding. It's because you are doing so good that you're ready to open up that next big Stargate. And that's like huge. And you cannot go through that Stargate with a certain vibration still that you're not aware of inside of you. Just got to let it go. And I know you've talked about that before.
It's very true, man. It's like, I got two dragons in front of this cave at the bottom of the ocean, and I go to them, and the only way I can, and inside the cave is where my magic is. But the only way I can get in is to tell them something that I've learned. And you can't, you can't fake that stuff. You know what I mean? But that's the thing. What you're saying is that, we can go back to these old 3D cliches that it's darkest before the dawn. We don't have to be afraid anymore. We can look at this uncomfortable feeling, this thing that, puts us off kilter, makes us spin out. We can look at all we got to do is face this thing, because there is a Stargate on the other side. That's the level we're at now. These energies that have been coming down the last, few weeks and a couple, 2-3 months, even the whole year, are just increasing. They're just getting faster and faster and faster. But we got what it takes. And like you said earlier, I guess a decision was made, or the human consciousness collectively was ready for it. And I think, I'm with you. It's time to give ourselves a pat on the back and start looking that way. Instead of like, somebody made a comment here, Kara DeBurke, our sister, big supporter for a long time. Thank you. She says, it's all speculation though, because if this kind of awakening is happening for the first time in the universe, then one or the other can only guess what's coming. But I'm happy to listen, and thank you for listening. Thank you for your comment. My response, and you feel free to respond, is I don't think whether this is happening for the first time or not doesn't really matter to me. I think what's important is what we do know. I do think that the human can try to figure things out cognitively, and at the end of the day, it doesn't matter, because all you got to do is do your shadow work, keep on blowing through these Stargates. We have no idea how powerful we are. It's incomprehensible even at this level, and probably will be when we hit 5D or whatever, so.
Well, my response is, I don't know shit.
That's right.
All I'm doing is downloading a program that my higher self and the beings that I work with say, well, from what we've studied from human philosophy and from human thought and, from the experiments we've had with humans, this is what you need to say to explain it in a way that will comfort your brothers and sisters through all this. And we really don't know exactly what's happening. I mean, we couldn't, because at first the technology in the astral realm was such that they could just read our thoughts and memories, and they were always 10 steps ahead of us. Yeah. So we would come in with a lot of actually with a lot of false plans that stopped, and they started and they stopped, and we were like going, what? You know, like we would make all these plans and then all of a sudden we'd wake up one day and everything would fall through. And it's like we had to lead them down these dead ends, and we had to come up with ideas and thoughts. You know, I'm not saying that everything that we're talking about or everyone that any of the other people that we like to listen to even are saying exactly what's happening. But I think what I have found is that at this level of where we are given more truths than we have ever gotten before, so that we understand, because it's over. So now we're getting the manual, we're getting confirmation as to what's happening in words that make sense to us, that we can, you know, really get excited about. So give me some spectacles. I will be speculating some more. Because if
that's a good wrap.
If we don't speculate, then how are we going to pull everyone through with us?
Yeah, and I would add to that, the vibration that speaks to all of us does not speak English or any other human language, and we've all felt it to one degree or another. And when that vibration comes into you, regardless of what you say to anyone else or what they might think if they heard it, that vibration, there is no speculation there. That's the one that got us into this game a few years ago when everybody told us we were crazy. So, you know, to thine own self be true. It's the same vibration. It comes through us. It comes through our heart. And that's the thing that I really, I think more than anything, I go back to like as a little kid. And you're a little kid coming out coming out of the blocks, and you're leading with your heart. And then, like you were just describing, they were 10 steps ahead and start shitting on us. And then you become an adult and all that. What I'm seeing is the magic, creative power of being in my heart, you know, being with who I want to be, being in a divine conscious union, being in these fairy tales, being in this Soulogy, being in this interview. And I see the reciprocations there, and you're like pinching yourself going, oh, is this really happening? But that speculation is going away, because there's so much comfort in what's happening in the moment, you know.
The fairy tales were all written from people looking in the future back to now, and then going in the past and writing them so that we'd have something to guide us by. I just love fairy tales. I mean, we're in the mind of God. We are dreaming. So how real is that? You know? But
that's right. If you can imagine it, you can do it. And
so that's my disclaimer for when we're done and we look back and we look at all the shit we said and all the things we thought. and then we see what we were really doing on another level, and we're gonna go, that was so
right. You know what? And I love that analogy of the game thing, because I made a transition about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I got to this place I'm staying now, and I was out front waiting for the manager to go into the office, and I started looking around, and I saw the overlay of the clouds. I saw the geometry, all the lines, the grid. I mean, I'm talking in the physicality, straight up. And I was like, what the, you know? And I look up in the sky, like if that's going to tell me something. And I could literally see all of us just looking there, just cracking up, just having a great time. I mean, I was like, oh, this makes total sense. And I literally felt like way beyond a multidimensional being standing there in this game. It was beyond that. It was like, wow, this is cool. This is cool. Chill out. You know, just what can happen to you, you know?
You know, even if you were to drop your body, you'd get to go back and get healing and get either, you know, advance to the new earth or go back home. I mean, that's the worst that could happen to you. And I'd like to just talk to those people out there who think that they're not doing enough, or they're just not ascending, or maybe have a fear of ascending because they just can't seem to find the joy. And, you know, you people, you're empaths, and you're still connected to the sorrow that is an illusion, you know, that's happening here, and the disconnection from, you know, your true divine nature of having that unconditional love. And that unconditional love, I do believe, is what's coming in the event, in the flash of cosmic light that's coming. And in that one moment, everyone will have their own reconnection with their source, and be able to have some remembrance of how they got here and what we're supposed to do. And you can just let go of all of the need to remember everything as you read. Oh my gosh, I have to know all this stuff. And I mean, it's great to know. It helps you get through everything. But when this flash comes, when this great light comes, this final wrapping up of everything that we've done here, and then everyone goes to where they need to be, and however that looks, you're going to remember everything you need to know right then. You're going to have your connection back to your own DNA, to the your personal Akashic records, to the planetary Akashic records, to the solar system, you know, onto your home planet. You're going to have that connection, and time stops, and you have all the time you need in that moment to figure it out and to see everything, comprehend everything, and then to come back into the body is what's different, is what's amazing.
Yes. Yes.
Because then you then remember immediately how to change your body from right next to it, if you have to. Change your body to where you can come back into it and make it a compatible vehicle for your newfound activated DNA, and then you meld with that new body.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what's
right
coming.
on. Yeah. And
I believe it.
Oh.
And if I believe it, then it's going to happen for me.
That's right. And that's all that matters. That's all that matters. And it's two different. The word believe is different at, let's just say, the 5D plus level, and what is in the 3D level, as everything is, you know. But the thing is, you know, one of the when you said, I don't know anything, you know, it was Socrates or Plato said, the more I know, the less I know. But one of the things getting is the way it's coming in and starting to be verbalized. And I think that's what the big, not challenge, but what the living library is our explanations by all frequencies, including verbal and not, of what's happening, because there is no rule book. This does prove we haven't been here before, because this is real-time information, not downloaded information, you know. But the thing is, yeah, you know, I mean, I forgot what I was saying, but.
Could I say something about that? Just, you know, it's really important for people, you know, back to that fear of not, you know, they're not doing enough, and then, or they're not ascending. I may sound like I know what I'm talking about, and for me, you know, it's a vibration of truth, because I feel that this is what's unfolding in my reality and what I came here to do.
Yeah.
Like it's so truthful to me. But hang on, I forgot my train of thought.
That's okay. That's okay. I was just remembering mine.
For people, so I don't have movies in my third eye vision. I don't have pictures that are clear, like I'm looking at a picture. I don't hear voices in my head. I have a precognition. I have, you know, a clear knowing of what feels right. You know, the woman's intuition in my gut is very strong. And I also have, you know, made a good enough commune with my higher self to be able to ask questions and either get a yes or no answer, depending on how good my question is, or ask to be shown. And then I am just shown. The internet is my tool. I'm shown exactly what I need to know. So if you out there listening, if you don't have movies in your head, if you don't have your guide standing right next to you as if it was another person talking to you, if you don't have these other things that everyone, you know, all these wonderful stories that we hear about people, it's okay. I already had that. in another life. I went insane one time from having voices in my head and seeing things. And so I begged my soul in this lifetime not to show me, not to see. I didn't want to see the bad people. I didn't want to see the bad things. I had enough of that already.
Yeah.
So don't think that you're not doing exactly what you need to do. And sometimes people just have different roles. And so you hear all these people saying that, you know, they do this and they do that, that may not be right for you, or you can just try it and see if it's right for you.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to throw that out there as a little support for everybody.
Well, and that's a microcosm of the universal period. You know, what's going to happen if we do this? What's going to happen if we do that? We all have to find out for ourselves. There's no doubt about it. And I agree with what you're saying. Almost like, I don't want to make light of it, you know, with all respect, saying, you know, don't take it so seriously. But the truth is that what you're saying is so powerful, is that at the end of the day, we can read this or do this or get this or that, but there's something that rings true, and there's a powerful force that takes many different frequencies, including 3D, 5D, whatever, and that is to speak your truth. And if you are speaking your truth, even if it's in a room to the universal or to a friend, and you're truly in your heart, and we're finding that alignment, that is the biggest activation. I don't care what the archangels, with all due respect, we're down here doing the work. We're doing the work. We're activating each other. And that's where the glory is, finding that beauty and love and courage and wisdom in each other, you know, and ourselves. Yeah.
And just having conversations like this, so that it's interesting, because I find myself as a third-party observer sometimes. Like right now, I feel like I'm just having a conversation with you, and I don't even think about all the people that are going to listen to this. I never actually think about that when I'm in a discussion of these magnitudes. But you know what saved my life, what has kept me going, is people like you having conversations with somebody else when I really feel like I need to hear somebody talk woo-woo. I can, you know, tune in. And I like to listen to Magenta Pixie, and I like to listen to Lisa Brown. And there's just a few other people that I really, you know, subscribe to, that I like to listen to. And so if, you know, people out there are at a point where they've really, there's a program running within us for the old ascension timeline. And that is that there was going to be so many people stepping out to be leaders. There were going to be communities, small communities of living, and all of these ideas and the free energy and everything downloaded. And because of where we've stepped into, you know, it may be that we step into New Earth before any of that unfolds in this reality, wherever we are. I don't even think that we're really tied to 3D anymore. I think we're kind of like floating through the astral realm, you know, in a very malleable matrix is what I think. So
new universe. Yeah.
There's a group of humans that probably need to see this monetary collapse and this restructure and this new energy and group living and all that. I don't think I'm going to be a part of that, because it doesn't, I'm sure that it's a reality because everybody keeps talking about it. So I'm sure it's been created. Sure, some people need that to really, I think a lot of left brain people with a little bit of fear that just can't be helped, because they either are new soul here, or they're a really old soul and they've got so much shit to clear that they need that. Or maybe their soul wants to experience what it would be like to go through a transition before the transition. But so I think that everybody's just on a different level, and we've got to honor and respect that. And I certainly don't want to be up here saying that I know more than anybody else. I just know what I want to create. Let me put it that way.
You're providing real-time intel as a human soul hybrid to the best of your ability, and many other people are. And what you're saying is so true because you're speaking as a human being, but also as a multidimensional being with your own experience. And this is what activates people. This is how we beat this thing. And I would go one step further because I love what you said earlier about speaking something. You say it, it's out there. Now you got to go back and get it. Well, the same goes with anything. You know, if you think the matrix is only external, you need to at least be open to the fact that it's really internal. You know, is the soul and the ego external? God's source? Well, is it internal? I mean, it's all about integrating these polarities, and I will have to say, for the record, that I believe we're the outer breath of Mother Universe. This is the game. This is the game when we all get up there at the crest of the big kahuna cosmic wave, and we all look at each other like, wow, this is cool, and we ride it until we do it again. And think about it, the genius of it. How do we play this game with ourselves? Wipe out the memory, start over.
Yeah. Yeah, and the memory that we're going to wipe out is all the stuff that's completely unnecessary for any more soul growth that was created from illusion that did not serve a higher purpose. So there's a lot of things already that are wiped out, and we're like, some people are fearful of their memory getting wiped. I think Dolores Cannon was one. She's so simple. She was saying, some people, their memory just get wiped and they'll just get put on another 3D planet. And then, some people was like, no, I don't want to lose the memory of when my child was born, or that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about, when you are beaten. Yeah. When you were beaten, because, everything's happening in the mind of Creator. It's not even really happening. Yeah. It's an illusion that's playing out. And the illusion is that we're separate from God, or we're separate from Source, and that we're separate from each other. One of the biggest messages that you're going to learn on this awakening path is that every single one of us and everything that's alive with consciousness in our reality is connected to us.
Of course.
And is a part of us, meaning many, many, many levels, different things, but it's actually occurring inside of us and projecting outwards into this matrix. And I have a website called howtoexitthematrix.com that talks about the nature of our reality and how it is an interactive consciousness playing field and how it's supposed to be fun. And one of the weirdest things that I saw was that TV show Westworld, where it's a really dark TV show.
Oh, yeah. Oh, well, I remember the movie.
Train. You can go out there and you can shoot, human bodies, and they can't shoot you. You can have sex, you can drink.
Yeah. It's like robots. They're like clones or something.
Live out a whole pre-programmed type thing that's interactive with you. And at the end of the day, all of the bodies, all of the AI bodies, they go to sleep, and then they take them in and they change their clothes and they fix up, they take this cauterizing thing and fix up any bullet wounds that you put in them. And the next day, the whole game starts over, the whole thing starts over again. And really, that's kind of how it was supposed to be without the darkness. I mean, maybe with some of the fun, sex, but,
The gods are very, but that's exactly right. That's exactly right. That's what happened. Just like the original Westworld movie, and everybody's doing their thing, and all of a sudden the robot shot back, and all of a sudden somebody got killed. And like, holy shit. But if you think about it from the God goddess level, what a ride, man. I mean, really. Yes. I mean, really. I mean, wow. I mean, because it's like a good joke or a good mystery. When you get to the end, you're like, whoa, I never saw that coming, and it's almost soulgasmic,
Yeah. I just wanted to say thank you for joining with me today in creating not just the light side of things and not looking at the dark, but creating such a bright outlook upon where we've been and where we are now and where we're going. I just think that I've seen you grow so much, and you and Morgan, you two are just, you blossom together. I know that, you know, just like everyone else here, everybody goes through their difficulties in divine relationship. But I have to say, I'm so happy for both of you, and for just watching you just makes me smile. You're so good at what you do. And I hope people see you. And I'd be very happy to take you up on your offer to be part of your upcoming streaming, you know, the Soul Group, and having a show of my own on there and being able to share that information. I'm ready for that now.
Oh, man. Thank you very much, Divine Goddess. And you're glowing right now. You're just like, woo. But yeah, you know, and I always say this when I was on the street and the universe was talking to me, and the first thing it told me was peace, love, happiness, and humor. So I think there's a lot to be said for that. I just did some session work with a good friend. We did it spontaneously. We did it with music. We got the microphone. We taped it. We started with Morgan's invocation, and we ended up freestyling, and she was in tears doing her own thing, liberating her soul. And I'm going to put it out there. We need to put our expressions out there. We don't have anything to hide. And the universe told me when I was walking the streets after I led a pretty colorful life, it said, hey, man, you need to start acting like everyone's going to know everything you ever did. And I was like, oh, really? Okay, well, then it's all cool now.
That's a tough one.
Well, I had to accept that. And then I went on from there, knowing that from that point on, I had that knowledge. So, but it was still a long, hard curve. And the divine feminine and the incarnation in my life, Morgan, you know, had a big part to play with that, because, you know, a strong masculine energy, you know, in this realm is, or even masculine energy in any of us. It really is, and I really don't want to put it that way, but the false masculine energy is the illusion.
Didn't she do a good job on you?
I surrender.
That's what we're here for. That's what the goddess
I know.
is for.
I know. I'm in.
It's the masculine stuck energy that kept the universe from you know, expanding.
Yeah. It is. It's no different than before the show started. And I had no intention of talking to you about what we talked about at that length, but I started to go into, you know, overexcitement mode, and the divine feminine said to me, hey, hello. And the same thing happened to me an hour and a half ago with Katie Endicott. You know, I mean, I understand as an individual, regardless of my physical incarnation, I understand what was missing now. And that is really the vibration of pure love that is in this realm, and maybe just this realm, pure love, unconditional love. The power of that love, that's what gets me excited. The sacred sexual energy of that love, wow. You know, I wasted all those years on what?
Sign me up.
Yeah. All right. I got to get on to the next show, 30 minutes.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah. I look forward to future collaborations. It was an honor to share space with you today. Thank you for, on a personal level, and for everybody else, for sharing it's beyond authentic. It's raw, it's real, it's genuine. This is the vibration that we need to spread, and it's between the words. So thank you for putting it there. Thank you for all the work you've done. Thank you on behalf of humanity, and I look forward to collaborating with you again.
You too, Todd. Take care.
All right. Good night, everybody. We'll be back in 40 minutes with Paul Wellington. Bye, Michelle.